Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to introduce to you two wonderful entrepreneurs that have come up with a new way to help home buyers purchase a home. And I want to introduce to you Mike Schneider and Eric Iwashita. Did I do pretty good on that?
Exactly.
They're the
Perfect.
CEO and director of Acre Homes. And Acre Homes is won a place in my heart. And the reason is because during the past year or so, year and a half, 2 years, the high demand market has put a strain on our local market in the Triangle. And I've noticed many more investors coming in and buying homes than homeowners. And for 35 years, I've enjoyed selling homes to homeowners and seeing a family get into their first home, their second home, or their move down home. So I wanted you to know about this new option for you. We're going to go through it a little bit. I'm going to let Eric and Mike go through some slides, and then we're going to have some questions, and then we can have some questions and answers from you, from the audience as well. So tell us about Acre, guys.
Well, Marty, thanks first of all for having us and being such a great partner. It's fun to work with people who have been in this industry and know it so well. And I love the alignment on our mission there, right? Mm-hmm. We started this company because we really do believe in ownership, and it's fun seeing millennial generation now getting into buying homes, and at the same time it has become so unaffordable. And that's at all price ranges, right? Even just buying the home in the neighborhood you wanted to be in the school district you wanted to be in. Now with interest rates going up and the price appreciation we've seen, it's really hard.
I know, Mike, I heard a really bad saying. I don't want this to get out, but I heard that in order for the millennials to buy, boomers had to die. Oh, and that disrupted my peace of mind. So I think we've got a way that the millennials
we've got a new
way.
I think it takes some creativity to think outside of what the current ownership model is. But there are a couple other things that were important there too. The affordability, the accessibility is one part. But then we're also looking at just trends, and people aren't living in their homes for 15 and 30 years anymore. And so what we've created is something where you don't have to take on a huge loan to be a homeowner. You can just buy part of a house at a lower cost, so we can get you more house or into the better neighborhood you want to be in, and we can do that in a way where you can have a shorter stay, where a lot of people are moving more frequently, right? They know that the next house they want to be in is going to be in a different area because they're having more kids or different school district, et cetera, and we can cut out a lot of the fees associated with transacting, and then your experience in the home. We're not just a financing option, a la a bank where we're reselling your loan, right? And we're actually care about your experience in the home, and so we're building more of that experience where all the big stuff is covered. You don't have to worry about the unforeseen expense of a roof or a water heater or any of that. Like, let's focus on your experience. And I think that's what we've come to expect in today's world, is that there would be a productized or a brand out there that stands for the customer and has built a better homeownership experience. It doesn't exist yet, so we needed to go build it. So
love it.
That's what we're tackling. We think that it's funny, I said millennial probably 4 times, but as we got out, we have agents bringing us clients and people coming from all different walks of life. So we'll walk through some of that.
Good. Tell us more.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Mike touched on some of these items, but there's a lot of benefits to working with Acre and using Acre to purchase and live in your home. So the first thing that he mentioned was kind of cash offer, right? So we're going to back buyers and supercharge their ability to win the homes that they really want to live in, right? We're also looking at all the best homes on the market, right? So we want everything to serve our residents well and be of a certain level of quality. And so our agent partners and our residents can bring us homes that they're interested in living in. Part of this program also allows you to make it your own. So unlike renting, where you can't paint, you can't change out the fixtures, you can't really settle in, we again believe in ownership and believe that creating that space and adapting that space for your style of living is really important. So we will not only allow our residents to make it their own, but we encourage them to do so, right? At the same time, the major issues, so the roof, the major appliances, any of those unforeseen expenses that might come up, right? If you're in the middle of summer and your HVAC goes out, you might have a $6,000 bill that you all of a sudden have to pay. And so we believe that there's a better experience where, especially in today's market where people are getting pushed financially, that there's a better alternative, right?
Right.
And then the last 2 points on this slide are really about the home purchase piece, which is lowering the risk. So you don't have to take on debt. And I think that's one of the major benefits of Acre.
The other part that's now becoming interesting in today's market is there is the risk of what if the market does go down, et cetera, and when you don't have debt, you're not going to be wiped out and owe more on the house than you purchased it for. I personally think the market's going to keep going up, but for a lot of people, right, this is just a lower risk option. You don't have to take on a huge loan to be a homeowner and to build wealth.
And as you've told me many times too, that way you can spend your money, your cash, in other investment areas. You might want to fuel your 401k, for example. You might want to buy a beach house.
We call it our primary residence, not our primary investment or our only investment. I think that's the other part. To your point, we have a lot of people who've come to us and said, with the $600 or $1,000 I'm saving a month, I can max out my 401k match and pay, from daycare and all these other things. So to your point, different life priorities maybe than trying to pay off a house. I don't think that's most people's priority anymore.
Yeah, it's true. And I think about the young couples who have children that are now getting up, maybe middle school, going into high school. They're only going to be in that house maybe 5, 6, 7 more years, and then they're going to downsize anyway. But why not have the house that you really wanted before this uprise in prices while those children are at home, so you can entertain their friends and have the family affairs that you want to have?
Yeah, and this would be a better financial situation in that. So run the numbers. How we got here, I think you hit the nail on the head too. Of one of personal passions that we saw so much investment capital flowing in, and I don't think it's a great thing to turn another 10 or 20% of our homes into rentals. There are some great things about renting though, right? I think some people are choosing to rent longer because it's more flexible, right? They don't have to come up with a huge down payment and put all that into a house, and they don't have to take on all of the maintenance, to Eric's point earlier. So there are some great parts of that, and so we created this. It truly is an alternative to a mortgage. If you want to be a homeowner, we created this new category that takes some of the best parts of renting, some of the best parts of owning a home, and now you have this new product.
Wow.
And we often talk about it in this way. You mentioned the people are going to be there for 4 or 5 years, and I think we'd encourage you, just like you're going and getting pre-approved for a mortgage. That's all you have to do with our program. It takes 10 or 15 minutes to go and see what you qualify for, and just see what the options are. Whether you already have a house you love and you can see how much you would save, or if it expands you to other inventory.
Right.
Awesome. So how it works is we're introducing this idea of partner ownership, right? So we partner with the buyers to purchase the house, and we each own part of that home. Now, in this example that you see on the screen, let's just take a $500,000 home, right? A resident could purchase maybe, let's just say, anywhere between 5 and 10% of that home, still live in that home. But the key thing to understand here is that they're not purchasing more of the home every month, right? So unlike a mortgage, when they purchase that initial portion of that home, that is the portion that they own during the duration of their stay in that Acre home, right?
I understand that. And the payment came up. Somebody was asking me about the payment. Well, when you get a traditional 30-year mortgage, there's not very much of your monthly payment that's actually going to pay down your house anyway.
Especially in that short timeline.
It's really bad in the first 3 years, right? It is really bad, and that's part of what we realized is if you're only going to be there for 3 years, and then you're going to pay 6 or 8% to sell it, it's got to be going up, 10 or 12% for that to be a great investment. So we've created a way where we can, again, instead of buying more of the house every month, you can have a huge cash savings and put that into other things and have a lower cost way to live there.
Maybe get that kids' college fund.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So choosing the terms on the website is very, very simple. So again, you can purchase a portion of that home. And to your point, the amount of kind of capital that you have to put towards a home in the Acre model goes directly towards purchasing a portion of that home, right? It's not going towards interest. It's not going to the bank because there's no debt, right?
Yep. It's not even going towards closing costs, which is one of the things we often don't call out when we talk through the process. Is when we submit an offer and we do $50,000 in due diligence or whatever to win the bid, we also then cover all the transaction costs. So when you buy $35,000 of the house, you're buying $35,000 of the house instead of $6,500 at closing.
You're right. And mortgage companies, 3% is what we've usually used. So that's a lot of money when it comes to a $500,000 house.
Yeah, especially when you're having to worry about due diligence and all these other constraints that are playing into the market right now. Right?
It maybe is worth calling out. One of the things when we wanted to create this, where you have that ownership, and you can always get a mortgage if you wanted to. So we will always help if you wanted to buy the whole thing at any point. So we have people who are relocating that say, well, let's buy a house with Acre, because then if we decide we want to move to North Raleigh, we can just transfer and not have to do another transaction, pay all the selling fees, etc. But if they fall in love with the house and they want to get a mortgage on the whole thing, they always could do that. But we do ask when we say you don't have to pay transaction costs. If you do move in the first year, we do ask that you pay for those transaction costs. So I want to be upfront. We're covering it, but if we move in the first year, we just ask that you cover
1 year is a low standard. I think that's pretty low. I remember I've talked to many people who actually moved here, and if you're looking on a website for a home that's affordable, sometimes you end up in an area that you didn't really enjoy that much. And I've talked to many people that, I won't mention the names, but they moved to one area of town and they were miserable. They wanted to live in Cary.
Right.
So this gives them
more options,
more mobility.
I mean, that point's really important, especially over the last 6 months of what we've seen, right? For rising mortgage interest rates, and your buying power for the buyers has gone down pretty significantly, right? So if you started the year looking at the $600,000 price point, you might be looking at the $430,000, $450,000 price point now, because that's what you can reasonably afford, right? But the benefit of the lower monthly payment with Acre, because you're owning part of the house, right, and not paying principal and interest, etc., is that we're expanding the options, or we're expanding the inventory and the quality of inventory that these residents can live in. So
I think that's true, but you also kind of stop the clock. I don't believe that appreciation is going to stop.
I totally agree.
During the last 24 months, our homes in the Triangle have appreciated 24%. That's not going to stop. It may lower. Yep. What if it went half that, 12%? What if it went down to 10%? That's still a lot of money. What I really love about this is that they can get in the home, stay in there for 3 years, have a lower monthly payment, stabilize their monthly obligations, then they can buy it. But they can go to the neighborhood they want. They can go to the schools. That's right. They can go to the areas that they like to shop in. They can be in a place that they love.
And that's why we're seeing buyers at all price points. Right, we had someone looking at a $1.1 million house, and it was they didn't have to sell stock while the market was low, and different motivations, but the same reasons you're talking about there, right? If they knew where they wanted to be, this was a better option for different reasons for them than the other couple we just bought a house with, that this was their first home and they were transitioning into ownership.
Yeah. You don't have to settle for that. You can go to the area that you really want to be.
Exactly.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and this next example really hits on a couple of the numbers here. So let's say you had $50,000 you were going to put down a traditional down payment and buy the house, and you had a $3,400 monthly budget, which is what it would take to get into a $500,000 house today with mortgage rates. Well, if you bought that with Acre, you'd save $680 a month. Or to your other point, it can expand. For that same $3,400 a month and the same $50,000, you could buy a $600,000 house, which is a completely different, to your point, different neighborhoods, different opportunities.
Right.
Awesome. So the process of finding a home is very similar, right? Like, you work with your agent, and Acre partners with the agent and the buyer to place an offer on that home. And so if we go to the next slide.
Yeah, maybe worth calling out, we're not going and buying homes. So different than iBuyers and other people or investors, we're not going out and buying homes. We want to partner with you to get you into your dream home.
Yeah, we're not taking inventory off the market, right? Yeah, we're backing real people, homeowners that are trying to get into homes.
Right.
Now, this is probably one of the most compelling parts of the offering right now, just given the dynamics of the market. But we are going to back that buyer with a cash offer. Right. We're going to place a cash offer on behalf of that buyer.
Awesome.
What that means is that the buyer doesn't have to worry about hedging against losing due diligence or making sure that they have enough cash to cover an appraisal gap, which is a very, very common scenario today.
Yes.
So if the home, the home's going to be a really high quality home, the buyer really wants to live in that home, we can work directly with our agent partners to place as compelling of an offer as reasonable. Right. So
I love that.
There's no necessarily limits on due diligence or anything like that.
I love that. I want to talk about the left behind buyer. The buyers. Let's talk about that family bought a house in Durham. 20 offers.
that they lost.
That they lost.
That's right.
Yeah.
How much rejection can one person take?
Well, they had actually given up on becoming homeowners, and they found Acre and asked, "This is too good to be true." And yeah, they had taken some of their down payment, paid off car loans and other things, and so it was really cool to see us win the bid on a price point that was really hot with tons of showings, and we were able to come in and help them become homeowners. It was really cool.
That's really good, because during this this high demand market, I've been unable to get FHA buyers a minimum down. I've been unable to get an FHA loan to be competitive. VA loan, a 5% down loan. None of those loans, when a seller is looking at multiple offers and he sees a cash offer, he's going to go towards the cash offer and the highest price and the best terms.
Right.
So that's
and that same 5% down person with us isn't paying PMI. They're as
same.
competitive. They're the cash offer, just like the investment offers too.
And this is for a real homeowner, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the
not an
part.
investor, right?
That's right.
So while the residents living in the home, again, they get to customize it and adapt it for the kind of space that they want for them and their family. Acre will cover all the surprise expenses, right? So if it's a old roof or something like that goes out, Acre will cover that expense.
That's awesome.
So that doesn't fall on the homeowner. And then we, talking about how we want to create a better homeownership experience, the resident will always be able to give us a call and ask for any help, right? So if it's, who do I need to call? What's the number I need to talk to get my trash permit, right? Or to set up my internet provider, right? Which service providers service this area? That's all stuff that I personally had to, when we purchased our home, just had to figure out.
Yeah.
And a lot of it ends up falling on either the agent partner or the mortgage lender or just people that aren't part of that living process, right? So we want to really empower these residents to take care of their homes and make it what they want it to be, and remove all the headache, right, associated with learning how to own a home.
So how does it work if let's say I want to update the master bathroom?
Yeah.
And I love this home. I'd be happy in it for at least 5 years, but I do want to update the master bathroom. How would that work
Great
with
question.
Acre?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We're skewing a little bit more towards newer homes where, again, if you're going to be there for 3 years, hopefully it's move-in ready. So we want to take care of a lot of those things up front so that it's an amazing experience when you walk in with paint, etc.
Oh, neat.
But we do encourage that, right? If you really want to make an improvement, we not only want to encourage that, but we want to make sure it's done well and certified, and we use the right contractors. So we have a lightweight process for you to submit that, and we want to work with you to figure it out, because you've probably seen this too. Some upgrades add a lot of value to the house. Some cost more than the value they're going to add, and so we want to be upfront with you of how much is that going to increase the value that you have in the home.
That's very true.
Yep.
Yep. But if they want to paint and replace fixtures and just like really easy cosmetic things that make it feel more yours, like they can do that. And
anything, I guess, to put a point on that, anything structural, we want to run through our process to make sure it's done well. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. Good question.
And the last thing, again, I keep saying this, but there's a lot of really great, compelling parts of this. But anytime during the 3 or 5 year term that we start with, the resident will have the option to purchase the rest of that home, right?
Oh, awesome.
As Mike mentioned, if they choose to do that within the first year, we'll ask them to pay transaction costs. But they basically have right of first refusal to purchase the rest of the home if they decide they love it and this is the home that they want to kind of go with traditional financing to purchase the rest of. They don't have to compete, right? It's not listed.
Awesome.
And they don't have to pay transaction costs. Like that's, they just get the option to purchase the rest of the home, right? They can also choose to cash out, right? So whatever amount of home that they purchased up front, they would get that back plus or minus any appreciation or depreciation that the home experienced, right, while they live there.
And again, what you don't see up here is sell. They don't have to sell the house. Right. And so if you're cashing out and moving to Nashville, et cetera, right, where we have a small fee to, relist the house and do all the work to upfit it again. But, you don't have to go through the process of listing and cleaning it up and all of that.
That's an amazing
or you can transfer. And we think this is going to be a big part because we see so many people moving now multiple times because we're just more mobile. We're changing jobs every 2 or 3 years. And,
right.
And again, millennials, I'll say that again, are in those years of having kids and upgrade, et cetera. So you can transfer. You can say, wow, my $50,000 has now gone up to 78 and we need another bedroom here, let's transfer our ownership to the next house and do that without transaction fees again.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. There's so many work from home jobs now that buyers have more options where they can live. They can go live in the desert. They can go live in the mountains. They can live at the coast.
And if you did that for 2 or 3 years, it wouldn't be a bad financial decision because you took on a big mortgage where you had to pay all the origination and then you had to sell the house and you had to do it all over again, right? We want to create that ability for you to have flexibility. One way we talk about this is that it's just no longer the biggest financial decision of your life, right? We've created a lower cost way for you to build wealth and be an owner. And so, that's one way of looking at this is if you're thinking about buying a house, you should just look at the alternative. There's now a real alternative to a traditional mortgage.
And I love that. And I love that because of the cost of the loan itself at the beginning is so big, and most people don't consider that.
Well, that's not it. That's not published up front on the website. It's just kind of rolled in on the back end. Yeah.
Well, tell me about the pre-approval process. Is that like you need my blood sample?
It's really fun since we are not underwriting you for a 30-year mortgage and then hoping to resell that to someone else, right? We can make it really lightweight. So I did it this morning and it took me 10 minutes because we just rebuilt it. And so we're going to, it's very much like getting pre-approved, just the pre-approval part, not the full loan underwriting part. So we're going to ask for a soft credit pull so it won't impact your credit. We'll sync some bank accounts and your proof of income, and that's it. You're done.
Soft credit pull. That's
and if
amazing.
you do that up front, right? Then anytime you're looking at a house with your agent, you can run the numbers and see, and you're ready to go make an offer Thursday.
And that's incredible.
And the benefit of that is that you get to see that expanded buying power.
That's right.
Because Acre will, because your monthly payments can be lower, right? You'll be able to purchase more of a larger house, right? Or a higher quality house, or a house in the right location that you want you and your family to be in.
Yeah, I was looking at some of those numbers earlier, like on a $500,000 home, an acre payment compared to a traditional mortgage saves you $683 a month.
A month.
That's pretty strong.
It is.
And that payment is locked in during the entire term,
fixed,
right?
Back to your rent. This isn't something that's going to go up 22% overnight.
Now,
this is.
How long is it locked for? Is it locked for? You get to choose.
It's locked for the term, yeah. So if you choose 3 years, 5 years, etc. And one of the weird things in this, since again, interest and tax rates and other things go up, so it's one of those weird things to get your head around. But a longer term would be a slightly higher payment because we're fixing it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's like an arm loan. I mean, basically, they're there. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited because I know that homeowners, home buyers that have been left behind in this market have got an option now to jump in and go to the areas that they want, go to the homes that they want. So this is really good. So what are some of the questions a buyer might ask themselves when considering an acre financing?
I'm going to flip that on its head a little bit, and just say that we would probably want them to ask questions just about what they want out of a home ownership experience, right? What's important to them? Is it the wealth building aspect? Is it the really creating the right space for me and my family, right? And then how Acre takes that and opens up doors. Right? I think that's the biggest question is, if I go with Acre and use Acre to purchase and live in my home, what doors does that open for me in terms of the flexibility to purchase the rest of that home, to move or transfer, to cash out, right? When my 3-year timeline might be a little bit more uncertain, right? Am I here? Am I growing my family? Am I going to move and take another job somewhere? There's just a lot of different scenarios that play into life, obviously.
It really is.
And I think that a solution that allows you to still live in the high quality home that you want to live in, but gives you the option to make changes, right, as life changes. That's very compelling.
It is. I think about, again, the couple or the family that's children are all going to be out of high school in 5 years. In 5 years, they're all going to college, and I'm not going to need this big house anymore, and I want to downsize.
We had one of those, or another one was a blended family. They needed 6 bedrooms, but they knew it was only going to be for a certain number of years. So yeah, there are so many of those, and there are. It's funny how many people say, "Oh, I think this is going to be my forever home," and then 3 years later go, Actually,
I want to move too.
Actually, so life happens. I mean, this is just a more flexible option. the other question I think that is going through people's heads is, whether they're thinking about renting or if they've just always been homeowners, is how much of their monthly payment is going into housing. I think it's shocking to me how that is skyrocketing as rates go up. So I think that to Eric's point, I would encourage them just to, if you do the pre-approval, then you can just start to evaluate with real numbers how this might change the equation for you to still have an ownership in a new structure as opposed to kind of overcommitting maybe even on your housing budget.
Well, it's very provocative. I love the options with it. As I said, I'm for home ownership. I love the option of getting a family in a home, getting an individual in a home that they have made 20 offers on and they walked away and they said, I just can't play in this market.
Exactly.
This gives them a seat at the table, and they can go where they want to go, and they can buy where they want to buy, and they can own it in 3 years if they decide to do that. So I think it's fantastic. Do we have any questions out there? If you've got any questions at all, let us know, and we'll be glad to answer.
Just while we're getting some questions, we are running some promotions for residents. So for the next 8 acre buyers, we'll cover up to $3,000 of an early lease break fee. Right. So if they're currently renting and trying to make the jump to ownership or to a single family home, we'll help them speed up that transition. And then they will also receive a credit for 1 month of an acre monthly payment.
That's amazing. That's So I was just staying in a apartment. I sold my big house and was downsizing myself, and so I had to go into an apartment. First time I've been in an apartment in a very long time, and I can't say that it was all that pleasant. However, it served a purpose, and my monthly payment was just for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment was about $2,300. Here you can buy with Acre, you can buy a $350,000 home. And your payment is going to be approximately $2,400 for that home, and you can go let the dog in the yard out back instead of trying to go in a parking debt. So I think that's amazing. So the question we've got here is, who pays the taxes, the insurance, any income tax deductions?
That's a good question. Yeah, we didn't cover that. One of the things we tried to do with that fixed payment is get it so it was simple, where you have 1 monthly payment.
Right.
I think it's often complicated. Even times we've had buyers say, I'm frustrated talking to my lender because they won't give me the full, especially for people who haven't been homeowners. What are my taxes going to be? What's insurance? What's all that? So we've created one payment that covers everything. So we're covering the tax and insurance inside that. In terms of tax deductions, this is an interesting one because it's one of those that we've heard for generations, right? My mortgage tax deduction. Well, after 2017, with how we reworked taxes, 90% of people just do the standard deduction, and so they don't get a mortgage tax deduction. So we found that was not, didn't impact most of our buyers.
Yeah,
9 out of 10
that's
of them.
kind of old school thinking. I think you're exactly
it is.
right.
And it was real. It's now no longer real for 90% of Americans. But no, there is no income tax deduction in our structure.
Well,
mortgage tax deduction. Yeah.
Why would somebody not choose to purchase an acre home?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's just about trade-offs, right?
Okay.
And what's important to you. If this is the top of the market, right, you're not taking on any debt if you purchase a home with Acre. And therefore, if the market goes down, you're not going to be underwater or in a short sell situation, right? You don't lose a ton of your net worth, right? You only lose a percentage of that initial month or that initial ownership payment that you made. But the same thing happens on the other side of things, right? So if you believe that the market's going to continue to skyrocket, right, you're trading off the potential upside for the lower risk, right? So you're not going to get, if the home doubles in value, you're not going to get that much value out of the home, right? But you will double your initial ownership share, right? You'll double how much you have placed in that home, but you're not carrying the debt associated with it, right? So it's just a different set of trade-offs about what's important to the buyer.
It is. I think, so you offer 5% down.
That's right.
And 10% down.
That's right.
And 20% down.
Yeah, people can buy more of the house, if they wanted to. I think that, some people are looking at, depending on life situation, buying, putting 50% down or 75%. And I think I'd say if your goal is, to pay off the house or to live in the house for 20 or 30 years, a mortgage is a great product for that because you're going to be there long enough, right? You're going to get past those 3-year and 5-year where you're not really paying any principal hardly at all. So that would be one category. I think if you know that you're going to be there for, again, 15, 20, 30 years, like a mortgage is a great product. But even those, we see some people, again, they're not able to get into the house. So you could always use Acre to purchase the house, and then in year 2 or year 3 decide you want to get a mortgage then. So I'd say, go get pre-qualified and see if it's a fit for you because we're still learning. There's so many people that are using it for different reasons.
Can you imagine how many people have said to me, I'm moving here to the Triangle, but I'm going to rent for a year so I can learn the area.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So I think this gives that person a chance to really experience the area because I don't think they're going to experience it in that apartment. They think they're going to know about it. So that's great. We've got a question here that says, are you given a project manager to guide you through the buying process, the life of the ownership? Does monthly payment go towards the $50K down payment?
Yeah, I'll take that first question. Okay. So again, are you given a project manager to guide you through the whole process? This is where our partnership with our agent partners is really important, right? Because for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure of working with an agent, the agents, a lot of that agent's job and responsibility is to help guide the buyer through that process, right?
Picking neighborhoods. You guys know more about the neighborhoods and even the offer we're going to submit. We'll do that as a team, right? In terms of what's the best offer that's going to win this house in this neighborhood, because you guys have all that local expertise. So when it comes to searching for homes, et cetera, we can empower you with, here are the homes that we think are great that Acre's already certified. But then I think once we get into the transaction, that's where we've really made it 10 times better. You don't have to deal with inspections and all these other things because our team is managing that.
You also don't have to carry the burden of figuring out how you're going to make the due diligence and appraisal gap and kind of all those constraints work, right? But you will have an Acre contact that is partnering with you through that whole process, right? So it's kind of a team of 3. It's the buyer, it's the agent, and it's the Acre team member that are all working to place these residents into the homes.
You got a lot of people you can call instead of just Googling it. You got people that are interested. Right. And so the second question, does the monthly payment go towards that $50K down payment? I don't think I think there's a misunderstanding there. It doesn't have to be a $50,000 down payment.
It doesn't. And let's clarify that. Maybe the two sides to clarify there is that you can put as little as 5% ownership in. And no, your monthly payment is not buying more of the house in the simplest model.
Right.
Does that make sense? So we've decreased your monthly payment as much as possible. So you have all that free cash, right, that you could be investing in other things, et cetera, but you're not in each monthly payment buying more of the house.
That's awesome. That's awesome, guys. So I can't think of any other reason for a buyer that has been left behind and maybe's gone home disappointed. And with this buyout now that you're offering for people who just wash their hands of real estate, I'm crazy. I've made 5 offers. I haven't gotten any. I'm going to rent an apartment. This buyout that you're doing for the lease is awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked to a lot of renters who are, in that exact situation. Like they're renting because they're not confident that they can even participate in the market.
Right.
So that's why we created these promotions to help those people achieve their ownership dreams, right? Or at least start them on that path.
Right. And this is amazing. I think the numbers you said is a home that would be valued somewhere in our market between $350,000 and $1.25.
That's right. We only go up to 1.25 right now.
Only 1.25.
That's right. We cover. There's good inventory in that price range.
There's better inventory because the market is disappearing, in my experience, from the bottom up.
That's right.
So it doesn't make good sense to be in an apartment and wait for the price to go down because the lower price homes, there's a supply and demand option here. It's not a matter of any bubble bursting or anything like that. We've got people, we're one of the hottest markets in the United States. More people are moving in here. I heard 1 out of every 10 people that are moving here are either from LA or San Diego. I don't know. But California is coming to North Carolina right now. Guys, I hope we've given you a good overview of what Acre can offer you or someone you know or someone in your family that maybe has left behind or given up on buying a home. There is a way to be competitive in this market, to stop the clock. In other words, you can get into a home. If you're a homeowner, you win. And I don't care about that. You stop the clock on the value. If you wait to buy a home, it's not a good plan. I'm reminded of an old logo that I saw that I wish I had right now. I put it on the screen. It was a little old man hobbling around with his cane, and the caption said this was the young man that waited for the price of real estate to go down. So I know that's happening out there. Please get in touch with us. We want to share this with you. We want to see if this is an option for you. It's free consultation. Just email us. Be in touch with us soon. Thank you for spending this time with us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.